Go deeper, straight to the core now. Get louder, let them hear your voice now. It might get harder, but we stay the course now. We stand up building the hometown. Together we're tearing the walls down. 'Cause we're rolling together now. We're rolling together now.
Welcome to another wonderful episode of Empower and Eats, brought to you by All in Cincinnati. I'm your host, Denisha Porter. Today, we're at Nostalgia Wine and Jazz Lounge. Today's episode is going to focus on leadership. So stay tuned as we delve into the successes, the challenges, and the leadership strategies that have led to triumph for our Black women-owned businesses. Come on in and join the conversation. Hey!
How are you? Good. Welcome.
Thank you. Hey, Tammie. Thank you so much for inviting me to your spot, Nostalgia Wine and Jazz Lounge. So tell me a little bit about yourself and what was the inspiration for you here?
Yeah, so I'm from Cincinnati, born and raised. Went to high school at Hughes, right up in Clifton. I spent
Big Red.
Yeah, Big Red. So I'm about to age myself a bit, but I lived in DC and New York for 7 to 10 years. And while I was there working in sports and going to grad school at Howard, I would always frequent little intimate lounges. And then I also started to learn about minority-owned wine brands, which was something that I hadn't been exposed to before. So I wanted to create a space back home that wasn't a nightclub, that was a nice, laid-back, chill, intimate vibe, where we could also showcase minority and women-owned and produced wine brands.
So why downtown? So I know your family grew up in Northside, but you decided to have your business here. Why?
Yeah. So I grew up in Northside, me and my siblings, but my mom, her mom, most of my family, they grew up in the West End and right here on Vine Street. So right above Candle Lab is where my grandmother grew up. So at the time that I came home to scout locations, which was probably like 2017, there weren't any minority-owned businesses right here on Vine Street. And so I really felt like it was a prime opportunity to bring some culture to one of the prime streets right here in OTR. So that's why I chose Vine Street, and that's why I chose OTR.
I love that. On the side note, what do you feel like is some of the greatest advice that your grandmother gave you?
Oh man, the best advice is something that I carry today in anything that I do, and that's just being intentional. So whether that was in school, pursuing my degrees, or in my professional career, working in sports, or now into entrepreneurship as well. Being intentional and understanding that what you're doing is so much bigger than yourself. That mindset will kind of help you get through some of those tougher times. We opened this business in 2020 in August, so we're celebrating 4 years tomorrow. So,
yes.
It was a difficult start, but I also feel like because we started when we did, I feel like we are just, primed to overcome whatever kind of comes our way. So,
and you're doing a great job. So you're doing concerts on the square. Do you do the sneaker ball too?
Yeah. Yes. So myself and my friend Matt, who's also an entrepreneur, he owns Corporate, which is a sneaker store. We started Cincinnati Sneaker Ball and Bigger Than Sneakers, which is a nonprofit together. So it's youth focused. It's an organization that helps to expose inner city youth to corporate professionals in the fashion, design, merchandising industry, way ahead of when they typically would in college or beyond. So the Cincinnati Sneaker Ball is one of our babies, and so is BTS.
I love that. So you're gonna help me style my dress with sneakers.
I got you.
You got me for real.
I got you.
Yeah. Okay, I love it. Okay. So I know you said you were into sports, so you're a competitor. I know there were a lot of barriers when you opened up this business. How did you overcome that?
Absolutely. So the biggest barrier really was just deciding whether or not to proceed with the project. Like I said, this is something that I had the business plan done in 2017. It was just a matter of finding the right space, And then, of course, we started construction in 2019. Then the early part of 2020, we all know what happened.
Pandemic.
So at that point, I was faced with whether or not this is something that makes sense to keep, progressing and doing, or, I still work corporately. So it wasn't something that I needed to do. But
Oh,
it
I
was,
didn't know that.
yeah, so I still work in sports,
Okay.
but it is, it was placed on my heart as something that I needed to do in terms of uh, creating a space where music was at the forefront, where people get, a glimpse of what music history in Cincinnati looked like, where we get to put some smaller brands that ordinarily might not be, you know, showcased or distributed within our state. Like they also get the opportunity to have some, some FaceTime with consumers as well. So it's much bigger than me. And that's ultimately what led me to just decide to just move forward with it. And then, it either works or it doesn't, but you don't
But it
know.
worked.
But you don't
And
know
it
if it
did.
does
I know,
or
but
not
it
if you don't
did.
do it.
But you did, because you said you wanted to be intentional. So you
Yeah.
already had it in your heart and your mind, and you just had to move forward with it, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
Awesome.
we're still here.
Yay.
Yeah.
So tell me about your favorite event here.
There are so many. We, in addition to just our regular programming where we have, we put local artists, whether it's DJs or jazz musicians or R&B bands. We have all of those, but then we also bring in like national artists, up and coming artists, which is like the best part because, these are groups that tour around the world and they come right here to Cincinnati and they're like, this is the best venue, the best energy. Like
Because Cincinnati is the best, right?
Exactly.
They don't know, but it is.
Yeah. So that's, I feel like that's part of our purpose too, is just being here as, an ambassador for Cincinnati and saying like, hey, if you're a big artist or you're up and coming artist or you're a young professional looking to plant roots somewhere, Cincinnati is a great place. It's diverse. And there's tons of opportunity here.
Okay, so I love to shout out local artists.
Yeah.
So what are some of the local artists that have played here?
So many. Oh my goodness. Miles Twitty, who's a great trumpet player. Lauren Elise, obviously, who's an awesome vocalist. Rick Sexton, who's a saxophone player. The Hydrophonics, they're an awesome funk band. Sound the Alarm is our house band. They're R&B and soul, and they are just like amazing.
Sound the Alarm?
Sound the Alarm, yeah.
Okay.
So they're here a few times a month.
So why wine and jazz?
So I think wine and jazz, or wine and music specifically, are two of those things that bring people together, regardless of backgrounds. They just attract like a very diverse audience. And I think that when I think of jazz music, I know most people think of it in the traditional sense, but all the music we listen to today is a byproduct of a jazz foundation. So whether it's rock and roll, whether it's R&B, neo soul, hip hop music, it all comes from jazz, which was the foundation. So when we say wine and jazz, it really encompasses all those different genres that we listen to today.
So all music, right?
All music.
Okay, yeah. So let's get some wine and catch a vibe.
Yeah. Finishing off the bottle.
I love it.
There you go. Cheers.
Cheers.
That's good.
Real good. Yeah. Speaking of music, I'm here with my friend, Miss Ebony J, the host that does the most.
Hey, Queen.
Hey, tell us what you do.
So aside from DJing, showing up, I can DJ your event, but I can also host your event, or I can be a motivational speaker. But some people actually just hire us for promotion and marketing. So it really just depends on what you need.
Awesome. I love it. So we'll learn more about Miss Ebony J when we come back. Let's hit them with the music.
Dun, 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 dun. Hey, you gotta get it.
Hey.
You getting us the money, right?
Yeah, get that money. Welcome back to Empower and Eats. And joining us today, we have Council Member Victoria Parks. Woo! We also have Miss Ebony J. Awesome. And we are joined by Kia Davis. Awesome. All right, so let's just hop right into it. Kia, can you tell us
Yes.
about your business, Early Affirmation Dolls?
All right. So this is our product, and she is a doll. And what makes her unique is that she speaks positive affirmations. So I'll just let her do the talking for you.
Sure.
Oh. I'm beautiful. I'm smart. I'm strong. I'm gonna change the world. And so like I'm gonna change the world is the final affirmation. Very important. So my company, we want to help girls and eventually boys with our products to have a positive sense of self-esteem, really, essentially. We're recently like getting into the space of going into like after school programs and day camps and just going and having a power hour, as we're calling it. And it's a really fun time to connect with the kids, and they don't know that they're talking about self-esteem. We play games and just do different things, so it's very
But they do know, and it's a way to actually build confidence, right?
yes.
And so talk about this doll as it relates to your daughter too. Like, how has that journey been?
So yes. So we started saying the affirmations with our daughter well before she could even talk. She was like the baby.
Aw.
And so we call those the core four that she says. So I mean, she has grew up with them, and now she's 5 and she can probably say them in her sleep. And so, but she just plays a big part because I want to make sure that I am instilling in her all the confidence and empowerment. So she's a big reason why we have the company.
Right. And I love this too because I feel like in life sometimes you're taught to love others before you learn to love yourself. And so what this doll does, it gives you a practice to learn to love yourself. And so I really truly enjoy that. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
You're welcome.
Yes.
All right, Ebony J, tell us about yourself.
Oh, well, aside from being a media personality, I own a media center. So at our center, we teach students how to do podcasting, DJing, and recording. And we also help business owners with their marketing, the media. We understand that right now, the digital age, everybody wants to be online, but it's about making sure that you're online and you're safe. Not just that, but it's about having the knowledge and the skills, okay? A lot of people are doing it, but they're not doing it correctly. And that grinds my gears because they need to do it right. So what we do is teach you how to do it the right way. We're going to give you the knowledge and we're going to give you the skills. And because you have them both, you're going to be able to be confident. And I love that because, as a little girl, I've always struggled with confidence. So people would think I'm so confident. No, I'm really not confident at all. I struggle with it very hard. But because I'm knowledgeable and I have the skills, that brings out the confidence. And that's how I'm able to show up.
Wow, you can never tell though, because when you're on, you're on. Like you light up a room, and I appreciate that.
Oh, thank you. Well, it comes with practice. That's why I've been telling you, keep practicing now.
Very true. Councilmember Parks, what are some things that we can do as it relates to policy to help our Black business owners?
I am so excited to be a part of this and with council. We focus on creating policies that will help, that will create the funding, the resources, and mentorships for young Black entrepreneurs. And it is set to even the playing field for you so that you will be a part, so that we can bring business and entrepreneurs together.
I love that. And so, for Council Member Parks, can you tell her a little bit about your barriers so you can make it easier for others so she can work on those policy and systems changes?
Are you starting with me?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right. So barriers. So there's a ton of barriers, obviously. Specifically for my industry, correct? So for me, having a doll company, you have to think I'm not nearly on the level of Mattel or anything, equivalent to that. So it is like, really, really getting the brand awareness out and putting a stamp like we're here to stay, right now we have the one product, but we want to expand. So it's really about just being able to get the funds to even compete with some of the competitors for the shelf space.
Right.
Essentially, and um yeah, everything sounds good, but it's like, okay, like how can I get there? I like to kind of work backwards. Like, okay, if I see the barrier, okay, well, what is it going to take
How
to
do I
get
solve
me
it?
from
Yeah,
here to
to
there?
there.
I would think that you need exposure. This is just wonderful. And if people will see your doll, I'm sure it will fly off the shelves.
Yeah.
Grandmothers would just buy that. They would just eat it up.
And I can see it being in school systems and CPS, just people really loving this doll. Ebony J, what do you have to say around this?
And putting it in churches.
Oh, I love that.
I definitely would say funding is the big deal that I see with a lot of small businesses. We have an entrepreneurship program where we help small businesses, and more often than none, I'm seeing a lot of businesses be created, but they're not staying in business. And like she said, the sustainability and then growth. What does growth look like for your company, and how do you position yourself? What are those systems that need to be in place? We've been doing it for so long by ourselves, but we don't know what we need until we start hiring people. Then you like, oh, these people ain't working. Well, you ain't telling them what to do. It's little things like that that kind of mix and match. And I think as a small business owner, for me, it was hard breaking into the other side, but it was because of the knowledge. And we have people that are gatekeepers, right?
That's
so
right.
how do we break through? How do we get that information, or how do we get the funding when we are doing the right thing?
That's what we try to do to ensure that your voices are heard in the business community.
Definitely. And I know Councilmember Parks has an open door policy, so you can always come to her office and talk to her about new initiatives. I really wanted to touch on something that you're doing with the youth right now, Ebony. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, our big goal is to really just stop the violence, okay?
Right.
As a young girl, like I said, I struggled a lot with self-esteem, but I also was suicidal. I didn't have someone that I could go to talk about how I felt or the things that were going on. So at the Ebony J Learning Center, our goal is to be that safe place for the kids. And more often than not, we've been having a lot of kids now learn more about the program. So they're starting to really pull up and they want to hang out and, be there with us. So our whole goal now is to raise the funds. We're coming up on our 1-year anniversary of being open. Yes, it's such a blessing, right? But we want to make sure that when they walk through the doors, if they want to come in here and work on a song, if they, need help with their business plan, that we're able to provide them with the resources.
Right. So talk about some of the services that you provide. So you do podcasts,
rapping,
and it's about just getting their voice out, right?
Yes, and doing it the right way. You hear these kids rapping all the time. Come on, they tell you I got this song, and then you hear it and you like, what's that? What's going on? Turn that off, right? You don't want to say that, but what if you could? I do. No. I'll tell them, cut that out, baby, and let's find you a different beat. Get you a beat that's not on YouTube. You can't use that. If I really like that song, I can't play it on the radio. I can't play it nowhere else. What is your voice? What is your message? All of these things, they're trying to make the drill music because that's what everybody's making, but understand what's the message behind your whole entire brand. Yeah. And that's what we help them with when you send them to us. So if your baby's at home making songs in their room, you trying to figure out what's going on with the music, it's okay. Just send them to me because I check them at the door.
This is your passion. Like you are like on fire, and I love it.
That's wonderful.
But I want you to check them with love. Like
I do.
You do. I do. So what's on the horizon for you? What do you see in the future?
Ooh,
yay! I like it.
So the future is bright. Obviously, if I believe in affirmations, right? Everything is optimistic. But what I want is to have a multicultural doll line. I like that. Products in for males in the male space. But our niche is affirmations. Our niche is empowerment. Is positive. Is all things that. So definitely creating more products. And just connecting with more individual students, kids, that's what we're about.
So do you have any affirmations that you're sitting on right now? Can you give us a sneak peek? So what are they? beautiful,
I'm
smart, I'm strong, and I'm going to change the
going
world.
to change the world. Okay.
Yeah. So do you have another one that maybe?
Let me think. Oh, how was that one?
Yeah, she did.
That's all right.
So
She got it. She can do
I
it.
I think one that's fitting is just I deserve to be here.
I love it. I
You
deserve to
know,
be loved.
yeah.
Yeah.
I deserve for my voice to be heard.
Yes.
I deserve to have room to sit at this table amongst you guys.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I love that. Ebony J, if you had an affirmation, would it be?
Well, mine was I am worthy. I have to remind myself that all the time. Like, I am worthy. You know, I think that we have to remind ourselves how great we are. If we don't hold ourselves to that, our worth, and knowing what we are worth, then you're not going to find it outside.
That's true.
I love that. I love that. And Councilmember Parks, I mean, you are a leader in this community. What can you leave with our young Black women about how to be leaders? Like, what vision can you instill?
Just know that whatever your dream is, it is not accidental. You were made that way. You were endowed with this dream, and if you give it a shot, you will also find the strength and the wisdom to make it happen. So be brave, and chase your dreams. Chase it down, tackle it, run after it. That's what I would say.
I love it. I love it. And this is why we have Empower and Eats. It's about bringing policymakers together with business owners, community activists to really talk about how we can leverage each other's skills, our strengths. We can't do it all alone, but together we can move mountains. And so I'm so excited that you guys came on the show today. Stick around. We're going to talk about takeaway. We'll be right back. Thanks so much. Thank you.
Stay the course now. We stand up building the hometown. Together we're tearing the walls down. 'Cause we're all in together now.
We're back. And what's Empower and Eats without the eats? So we have a charcuterie board. Tammie, can you tell us a little bit about your charcuterie board?
Yeah, so here at Nostalgia, we don't offer full food menu, but we do partner with Taste of Bougie, which is a Black woman-owned charcuterie company. And it's kind of like our approach to wine, where we try to make it more approachable and less, intimidating. So we have some cheeses, some fruits, some things that we all love to indulge in.
Yes.
And kind of made it look pretty.
I love the cheeses.
And so that's the vibe.
Awesome. So for takeaways, what do we want to leave the community, the audience with today? We'll start with you, Kia.
what I believe for people is bet on yourself.
Always.
And yes. And just something like a mantra that we go by in our business, my husband and I, that we're trying to make a income while making an impact.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
All right. What about you, Tammie?
For me, it's what keeps me going every day and running a business is just being intentional. So when you're working on something that's within your purpose and there is intention behind it, it makes it easier to get through those tough periods, through those winter months where it's not as busy, but you still believe in what you're doing. And here, that's what we go by, and that's how we have been able to withstand for 4 years so far. So be intentional. That's
4 years.
those are my last words.
Yes. Celebrating the anniversary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yes.
All right. And Councilmember Parks, what about you?
Well, just the fact that on City Council, in partnership with the mayor,
Yes.
we focus on creating an environment where we provide the resources for companies like yours, where Black women can thrive, where not just exist, but actually thrive. And when we bring the resources, you guys, the community, activists, and business together, it will create a fertile environment and foundation that will let all of us grow and be a better community.
Love it. I love it.
Yeah.
And last but not least, Miss Ebony J.
Mine would be, I know we didn't really talk about it earlier, but faith should be a part of your business.
Yes.
I don't know how everybody else do business, but I don't market without prayer. I don't do business without praying. And I just think that the only way for as an entrepreneur to be able to see success is to really, really lean and rely on God. So I wanted to leave that as my motivation. You know, my mom, I was always raised on Philippians 4:13. I could do all things through Christ that strengthens me. I have to repeat that every morning to remind myself. I know it's a whole bunch of tasks on the schedule, but I can knock it out and I can get it done. So for all you entrepreneurs, you know, make sure you find some faith, or make sure you at least have a higher power that you're looking up to get you through those tough moments, because it's hard out here in business.
I love it. And my takeaway is don't let anybody tell you no. And I got that from one of my mentors right here. Life can be hard, but as long as you stay dedicated and focused and on your journey, you can accomplish anything. So I want to toast to that. Everybody raise your glass. Thank you so much for being on the show today. Great job. Woo! Stay tuned for another episode of Empower and Eat. Coming up next week, we'll have more policymakers and more Black women-owned businesses. Thanks so much. You have a great day.
Together now, we're rolling together now. Go deeper, get louder, let your light shine bright. That's power. We're rolling.